Hi, food friends, it's Kevin.
Hi, Kevin, and I'm Ralph here behind the camera again.
And here we are, and it's a Sunday afternoon, and we are making a spinach puff.
Ooh, what does that entail?
Well, it's kind of like a spinach souffle. So what we first do is we start with probably one of the greatest of the frozen vegetables, and that is chopped spinach. They come in bags, they come in boxes. This is a box, 10 ounce, which is the standard size, okay? And basically, couldn't be easier to cook. We're going to kind of get it out of the cardboard here.
Is it frozen or
yeah,
thawed?
It's frozen.
Okay.
So it's right out of the freezer. And you take it right from the freezer, and we're going to put it here in some boiling water, okay? And let it come back up to temperature.
I thought, is that water boiling, or was it?
It was just starting to.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna cook the frozen spinach. I guess there's about a half a cup of water in there. We'll bring it back up to a boil. And then it's gonna cook for about 5 minutes.
Then do you have to drain it, or?
Yes, then you have to drain it. That's the one thing about frozen spinach is, it holds a lot of water.
All right. So that's step one.
So that's step one. While the spinach is doing it, I've got 2 eggs here. I've separated them. So here's the egg yolk.
Why were they fighting?
And here's the egg white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start beating the egg whites. Okay? Mm-hmm. We want to get them stiff, so we know that requires beating. Other ingredients really are simple. Salt and pepper. I've got some dehydrated onions here, a little mustard powder, and a cup of cooked rice.
Okay.
So this is great to use, especially if you might have some rice left over from another dish. And they all will go together, and we'll put them in a casserole, and then it's going to bake off. So it's called the Spinach Puff. This is a really old-time classic recipe. So I'm going to get out my
egg beater?
Yeah, my beater, and we'll get on these egg whites. Keep an eye on our spinach. You can see it's back to coming to a boil. And what's actually even good to do is once that water starts boiling,
break it up.
Break it up. It's not quite ready yet, so we'll keep an eye on it. It's only going to cook about 5-6 minutes, and then it'll be done. All right? So we'll be right back. Making a spinach puff. Okay, so we're just starting to beat our egg whites here. You could use like a rotary beater. You could even use a whisk if you had a really cold bowl.
But the idea is to get them beaten to where they become stiff?
Stiff, right, but not dry. So you got to be careful you don't want to overbeat them. I mean, it's not that complicated. So I'm going to finish doing this. We've still got our eye on our spinach, and we'll be back. Okay, here's our 2 egg whites.
Wow, you didn't put anything in there other than...
No, I didn't even put cream of tartar in, which sometimes you can do. Now, if you see these peaks that form when I pull this off...
Oh, that's what you're looking for?
Right, and you'll see those are stiff peaks. In other words, sometimes they'll call for a soft peak. So what would happen is that it would kind of flop over when you pulled the beaters out. These hold its shape.
So what's dry beat mean?
Well, if I kept beating it, you can see there's... Can you see it? You can kind of see it's moist. Can you see the moisture in here? So it's wet. It's beaten stiff but wet.
Okay.
The more you beat this, you will beat a lot more of the moisture out of it, and it will dry. It's hard to explain. You can feel it.
Okay. So this feels very whipped and fluffy, and it becomes a little maybe drier and less
this is
moist.
Exactly, and so this is like for a meringue or lots of things. But of course, the souffle we know that, and a lot of other things that require beaten egg whites.
So that's just egg whites. Wow.
That's just egg whites. So, all right, take a look. Our spinach is that beautiful.
And 5 minutes. It smells good too. I love spinach. So we're draining it.
We're draining it. Mm-hmm.
So that looks.
Okay, so there's our spinach.
That's our 10 ounces of spinach.
10 ounces, and it's really, 10 ounces really, honestly, isn't that much. But what I'm going to do is now, I want to
press out.
I'm going to use this spatula here.
Press out the water.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know, sometimes if you really need the spinach dry, I take an old towel, like an old kitchen towel, and I'll actually put the spinach in the towel and then wring it through.
Wow.
But
this recipe can have a little moisture.
Yeah, this is all right. We just want to get the bulk of that water out. Okay, great. All right, we're going to come back over here. So we've got our 2 egg yolks. Okay. To that we're going to add, this is again a cup of cooked rice, cooled. Okay. And let me get my measuring spoons. I'm going to take a tablespoon of instant onion. This is great to have on hand.
So it's basically dehydrated.
It's dehydrated onion. That's all it is.
So it's good for flavoring and things that you're going to bake because it comes alive in the oven, right?
Right. Then I'm also going to take just 1/4 teaspoon of mustard powder. This will just give it a little zip.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Interesting. We have.
Who are we listening to?
Senor Jose Feliciano in the background.
Okay. Awesome.
Singing the Beatles and the Doors and Mamas and the Papas, doing his own interpretive twist on these classics.
This is actually 2 halves, so let's call it 1 teaspoon of salt and a good 1/2 teaspoon of crushed black pepper. Okay?
Gotcha.
So we've got our spices in, we've got our dehydrated onion mixed with the egg yolk. Now we're going to take this, and I wanted to also work this through and let it cool for a second or two because we don't want to cook our eggs with the heat of the spinach, right? Okay. So now we're going to get
So everything blends together now.
Exactly.
Wow.
So we're going to put in the rice with the spinach,
the chopped onion, dried onion, and your seasonings, and with the 2 egg yolks.
2 egg yolks.
So meanwhile, the egg whites that are sitting over there, they're just doing their thing. They're not going anywhere, right?
They're not going anywhere, but they are part of the game here. So, all right, we've got our rice and spinach and egg yolks all mixed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this in to our egg whites.
Fold it in.
Fold it in.
Different than mixing it.
We want to get it all in here.
Fold it in means you sort of, it's not a vigorous blending. It's more of like just a light, gentle blending.
Yes. So because you don't want to crush the egg whites. So folding is under and over and turning the bowl. See what I'm doing?
Ah, yes. The human mix master.
We're going to kind of
scrape the sides a bit, just make sure it's integrated without
everything incorporated.
Heavily beating it or anything.
Exactly. We just went through all that fuss to beat those egg whites up. We don't want to, beat them down.
Beat them up, beat them down.
Okay. See that? That's all incorporated. Gently. Good. All right. Now we've got our casserole. This is just a small one, 1.5 quart, which will be enough. We're going to take some nonstick spray. Okay. I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees. So we have our old Westinghouse here in our Dearborn kitchen. So, all right, Ralph, we are ready to put this
into the casserole.
There we go. We're going to bake this for about a half an hour, about 30 minutes.
So this is a classic cheese souffle called a cheese puff, made with rice and spinach, which
There's
are
actually no cheese in it.
I'm sorry, what
is spinach?
Did
puff.
I say? Oh,
you said, but that's okay.
I got cheese.
You know what? I like the way you think. Cheese just might be a good addition. All right, so 350 degrees for half an hour. And we'll come back. Spinach Puff.
Spinach Puff. That's what we're making.
We'll be back in a few. Get things so 30 minutes have gone by, and you can smell it, can't you, Ralph?
Yes, it smells wonderful.
There we are.
Oh, wow.
You can see it's sort of brown around the sides a little bit.
Oh, it almost looks like there's breadcrumbs in there. That's just from the egg?
Yes.
And then there's the toasted onion, of course, or the, what did you call it, the onion chips?
What I think would be really nice on there, and this is optional, you know, and again, this is really a side, but I'm going to take some shredded Parmesan cheese now.
Nice touch.
And we're going to just put it on there.
Wow.
So
this is a spinach puff, sort of a spinach souffle classic dish that's a great side to eat.
Especially with, say, a beef dish or something like that. But, you know, we like spinach. It's good with just about anything.
Popeye's friend, spinach. I love spinach. Almost sounds like a Greek dish, too, with the spinach and rice, but I bet if you seasoned it differently, it could be more of a Greek dish.
So you have the rice. Get up.
So you don't need to let it cool or anything, or
well, maybe, it's going to be hot, but you know we are always dying to try.
Yes.
It's good. You know what? It reminds me a little bit of spinach pie, a little spanakopita, right? Isn't that the Greek dish?
Yes.
Of course, it doesn't have the pastry, but it has the rice.
If you put a little spearmint in there and some other Greek seasonings, you could really give it that.
You could make
spinach pie flavor.
Very Greek. So it's as easy as that. If you're a vegetarian, this is a great main dish to make. You know, you could easily double the recipe,
right,
and make a larger kind of dinner portion. But you serve this as a side. What's nice too is, you know, you have your vegetable and your starch together. We have your rice and your spinach.
I used to like to get spinach and rice dishes in Greektown here in Detroit, and then they would serve it with yogurt.
Yes.
Nice yogurty.
Another great dollop of yogurt on this would be wonderful.
So does it have a saltiness to it, or is the cheese give it a nice little extra salt?
Cheese gives it a little sharpness and a little salt, but I think it's delicious just how it is.
Great.
But again, you know, the wonderful part about cooking is you can do your own thing. You could add different seasonings to this, like mint, as you suggested. You could put a little thyme in there too.
Different cheeses.
Nice. Yep, absolutely. So this is our spinach puff.
Our Sunday spinach puff with Jose Feliciano in the background, Kevin over there, and me, Ralph, saying,
thanks for being a part of this one. We had a great time. Hope you did too. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
Take care. Bye.
Bye now.